let's get into it, man. The pick six. Got some games last night. We went to, okay?
Yep.
You attended the game, I attended the game, and as well as just some of the games that we want to look forward to today. We got a big game, a big slate of games on the way. So I'm going to let you start this off, man, because Newark, just the program in general,
Yep.
boys basketball, girls basketball, the family aspect and atmosphere of it. Just talk about what it was like last night and what you saw on the floor from a talent perspective from both teams, and that was Westerville South versus Newark last night.
Yeah, so two teams I have in my top 15. Interesting note about that game is Ed Kalo and Jeff Quackenbush are the only active coaches in the area with Division I state titles. So you knew you were going to get a great coaching matchup. There was a lot of youth on the floor. They both graduated, a lot of talent the last two graduating cycles. That was a game. It was very interesting to start off. Westerville South had 10 fouls in the first quarter. Ed Kalo got a technical in the first quarter. Hold
on, man. They had 10 fouls.
They had 10 fouls in the first quarter. He threw his blazer off. So if you've ever seen Ed Kalo, he always has a blazer. He got pissed. He threw that off, threw it on the scores table. Could not stand it. So Westerville South from the very beginning, they get into foul trouble. Their senior guards, Jordan McMillan, picks up 3 fouls in the first quarter, I believe. You had Manny Sunnyway, who is kind of their heart and soul of that defense. He picked up 2 fouls in the first quarter. They went down to the end of their bench starting off, and for Newark, they don't have any much senior talent either. I believe they have 2 seniors, one in the primary rotation, and a guy that really stepped up in that first quarter with all the foul trouble was Drew Ballinger. He started for Newark. He's a sophomore, about 6'2". He made it to the free throw line 11 times in the first quarter.
In the first quarter. 11 free throws.
I don't even think James Harden's done that this year.
Wow. Was it that rough? Was it just was it a little bit of sloppy play? What was going on out there come on, man.
There was like five blocks that they called in Westerville South that they were arguing could have been charges. They could have gone either way, but Newark was just they were being tough. They were getting to the basket. It's funny, they start off the game with 3 turnovers. First 3 possessions, 3 turnovers, 6 points for Westerville South. They got calmed down. South actually in the second quarter they took the lead back, and then Newark in that third quarter, they took the lead 41-40, and then South just could not. It didn't seem like because of foul trouble they couldn't get into a rhythm that would allow them to stretch the lead. So
let me ask you this, okay? Westerville South, we know that the history, the recent history, the Wesson brothers, state championship, just bringing so much joy to Westerville. Newark, okay? Also one of those top programs, BJ Dueling a couple years ago. Where do you see? Just give me a quick, if you can, from what you saw last night. What's maybe the ceiling for each of these teams?
I think each team, they're both going to compete for OCC division titles. Obviously, Westerville South in that Buckeye division. They're gonna. There's no easy game in that division because you have teams like Olentangy Orange and Olentangy and Westerville North and Olentangy Liberty, and then Westerville Central. So every team's got pretty good players and good athletes. South, the challenge for them, they don't have any size. Their biggest player is about 6'2", and he's more of a guard. Manny Sunnyway's 6'1". At the most, and he's their post player, and he does it really well. He's just a strong kid that plays hard. They're going to have to stay out of foul trouble. Jordan McMillan, who was their leading scorer last season, he was the reason that they were in close with Hilliard Bradley in the district final. He had 4 fouls early in the third quarter. But a kid who stepped up for them and I think might have earned a spot in that rotation, going forward is Jaden Geis. He is Jermaine Geis' son. He's a sophomore. Scored on all 3 levels, had 11 of his 13 points there in the second half. So as a sophomore, on a team mainly with senior guards, I think Geis could be a kid that, permanently gets a spot in that rotation.
Hey, so there you have it. 2 teams, no height necessarily for Westerville South, but a lot of good guard play. And for Newark, same old story, right?
Well, Newark's got Keyshawn Hurd, who's about 6'7". That's their power forward. He's going to West Georgia, the Division II school. Keyshawn, he struggled in the first half. He was missing some close shots, but he dominated the boards in the second half, finished with 10 points and 18 rebounds. He was kind of the key late, but a kid that really stepped up for them. He had a career-high 17 points, was the junior Jaden Woods. He had, I believe, 15 of his 17 in the second half. He had a run himself in the fourth quarter. He scored 3 straight tough transition buckets, 6-0 run, and it put Newark ahead, and they never gave up the lead. So that's another guy that young player, but Jeff Quackenbush gets the best out of his players year after year, and they have a chance to churn out maybe 18, 19 wins, and you could see Newark once again competing for a district title, even though they don't have the top end talent they've had.
Jeff Quackenbush was a monster when I was in high school.
Yes, he was.
He was so he knows what he's doing. He's played the game. He knows it at a high level. So it's not a surprise that Newark is always his kind of basketball team. A couple comments I want to check with the legend, Uncle Reggie Lee. He said, I'll check this informative show later. Got to take the chicken out of the freezer for today's football, but he highly recommends this show. Thank you, man. And I don't know, man. I might stop by later for a piece of that, man. Hold me a leg or something. Sumadursky, she comments, morning, great game last night. Westerville North has some great potential. Westerville South is my home team, though. So, yeah, she's a Wildcat there. Okay. And Manning Baumgartner, glad to see you guys collaborating. You are putting Central Ohio basketball on a whole new level. That 2018 class, I think, probably had the most D1, D2 signees ever.
Well, let's speak on that real quick. So, that 18 class, is the first class that I was able to cover from about 7th, 8th grade all the way up. In that 18 class, according to the data I put together, there's about 78 to 80 kids that are playing some form of college basketball or post-grad basketball right now. So it's a blessing. It was a blessing to cover those guys because it was a very deep class, but there's a lot of great talent in that class. And it's a reason why there's a lot of young teams right now because that 18 class was so deep. I got a couple comments on the 270 Facebook. Andrew Downing, listening from Brooklyn, New York.
Andrew, shout out to Andrew. Man. Hey, he got the eye, man. That's every time I see it is Steph Curry in front of some amazing monument, man. Hey, Andrew, what's up, brother?
Kayvon Smith tuning in, the South High alum.
KV.
Shout out to you, Casey Gillespie. That's my guy out on the West Side. I appreciate your support, Aaron Butt. So Aaron is a guy, West Side dude. He has a great podcast. I was on it a few weeks ago. It's called the Aaron Wants to Know podcast. Highly recommend it if you are, an entrepreneur and you want to tell your story. Get with Aaron. He says this is incredibly well done, fellas. Respect. # next level. Chris Kern, good show. Keep grinding. In South Carolina, watching the shoot around. Chris's son is Connor Kern. He was a 2014 Pickerington Central graduate, state champion, and plays at the Citadel. If you love high intensity, high tempo basketball, watch the Citadel. Connor is a starting shooting guard there, and can put up a lot of points. So the Citadel's a team. If you love low major basketball and you're a freak like me, you might want to watch them. So also a comment from Casey Hood, my guy Zach Fleer. Shout out to Casey, and then Terry Jackson. Great job, fellas. Alvin Bird says great show, and then Myron Bess says this is nice, Zach, here in St. Louis. Myron's son is Javon Bess. He's a senior at St. Louis.
That's right.
2014 Gahanna graduate, but he was also a champion with Connor Kern at Pickerington Central in 2012. So we appreciate you. JD Weatherspoon. JD Weatherspoon just tuned in.
Checking in here. JD, what's up, man?
2010 Northland graduate, the most iconic dunker in City League history, in my opinion.
Tavion?
Tavion's there, but JD had 60 dunks in his junior season alone.
I mean, Sully and Trey, they opened the floor for him to do what he do.
If you can find another player who had 10 dunks in the game like he had against Canton Timken as a senior, then we'll have that discussion. But JD, shout out to JD, his brother,
legend. His brother
Jawan is a post grad senior now at Huntington Prep post grad team. We wish Jawan the best. He's got some big time talent. Want to see him make it to the next level.
I love the comments, man. West Sider again. Kemper Busby, West High. They used to call him Daddy Longstrokes out there, and we would be battling on that track. He said, "Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work, fellas. Appreciate it, KB. What's up out there?" Dez Arnaz, Cuzzo, he said, "Keep working, man." Hey, you know how? Hey,
Dez is my guy, man. I was like real into the hip hop scene back in Columbus, maybe 2011, 2012. Kings Row and Soul Classics was huge. So shout out to Dez. He had a big part of that when I was freshman in college, 2011. I got to see Ellie for the Uncool, now known as King Veda, perform live with P Black and Fabergé. Hey, so shout out to Dez, man. I appreciate what he does.
Shout out to Dez, man. So, yeah, keep the comments coming. Hey, tell us what school you repping out there. Yep. Are you from the city, but now you're in the suburbs? It happens. Are you from the suburbs, but now you repping South or repping Northland? That happens, too. Let us know who you're rocking with, man. We got some
comments on that dunk comment I made. Casey Hood says A.J. Davis of Linden and Lund had 13 dunks versus Mifflin at home his senior year. And Myron Best says Lamont Barnes will give J.D. a run for his dunk champion. And I think Kenny Gregory,
and hold on, man, I'm a little older than everybody that's commenting right now, but to any of my old heads out there that's just watching me, if you remember Marion Franklin, early 90s, Mike Coley, okay?
Well, that's before my time.
His calves were the size of rocks, boulders, and they played on a great team with Kurt Simmons and Sean Wilson and a lot of great talent, but he was another one who lived above the rim.
Another guy a couple years ago, Avercindrick had two of them actually, Jaquan Harrison and Houston Smith. Houston's now a junior at Bethune-Cookman, so Avercindrick had some big-time talent the last few years as well.
Oh, and also, hey, what device are you watching this on? Are you watching this on your phone? Are you watching this on, you got to pull it up at home on the YouTube channel? Phone, tablet, computer, iPad. Let us know how you are watching this. We love to know that information as well. If you're phone, tablet, computer, iPad, etc., we love to know that. Definitely. And Dad said he said, "What's up, Zach?" So he definitely respects that. So look, I was at a game last night. I got out there, did some covering. Westerville North versus Olentangy. Again, it was the matchup of the point guards. Sean Marks from Olentangy, Jeremiah King from Westerville North. I'm gonna tell you, athletically, physically, I was definitely impressed with Westerville North. They had the big man out there. I want to get his name right.
Philip Austin.
Philip Austin, okay?
He's unsigned. If there's any college coaches watching this and you need a wing forward, power forward who's 6'6", 6'7", athletic, check out Philip Austin. He's also a big-time student. He's got an offer from Air Force. So if Air Force is offering you a scholarship, you're obviously getting it right in the classroom. So shout out to Phil. It's just a guy who does it in the classroom and on the court.
Great family. I got a chance to talk to Philip last night, and it was a tough loss. Okay, 65-63. He did say they started off the season last year a little bit slow, so he was confident in what they could bring to the table. A young man that I do want to bring up, okay, because in high school basketball, sometimes you have to wait your turn. You don't necessarily walk in to start them. But a young man last night that really impressed me, and I think you're going to be hearing his name as not only one of the top shooters this year, but moving forward, okay? And that's Noah Lawrence. You already know a lot about this young man. He walked in the game last night, 2 3-pointers right off the back as soon as he touched the ball. Bang, bang. And I was really impressed. He handled the ball also. He wasn't just out there.
He's one of the best freshmen.
Spot-up shooters, yeah.
One of the best freshmen in the area. He's got a great story. So Noah's dad passed away of cancer just a few years back. He had a brother, Alex, that played there. I believe he was class of 2015 or 16. So Noah's been through a lot. He's just a great kid and loves the game of basketball. So I'm so glad to see him playing so well early. Again, when you go through adversity at a young age, it gets tough to do the things he's doing. So shout out to Noah, and I think at Westerville North, that's the future right there.
Yeah, absolutely. No question about it. I think he will be one of those guys in the next – really – this was only one game for him, and he's a freshman, so he's going to have
still, you start off with a league game against a team like Olentangy
out the gate
with senior guards who are going to pressure you and make it tough, and you have 17 points. I think that speaks for just how ready he is and just the type of career he's probably going to have.
So I want to, because they took the loss last night, but I want to kind of finish with them. Austin, I like as a playmaker in the middle. Yeah. He made some plays outside where he caught it on the three-point line, made some moves to get to the basket. Noah Lawrence, I love the freshman, the shooter. They also have some athletic ability. Chase Perkins and his brother Charles Perkins. Chase more of a slasher, get to the basket kind of guy. Charles kind of big body, looks like a football player, to be honest with you. Yep.
Charles got some nice touch and good post work at 6'4", so he's a good kid.
Now, he didn't get a lot of touches last night, and I'm sure that they'll be able to work that in as the season goes along. And then the player that everybody from Westerville North was there to see, Jeremiah King, I want you to touch a little bit on him, and I'll tell you what I saw last night. Jeremiah, he was in a rush, it looks like, last night. Yeah. And I understand it was a home game. It was a league game. Sean Marks on the other side, so you want to play your best. He didn't play his best game last night. But I think once everything kind of settles down, he sees the tools that he has around him. This could be, depending on how Westerville North plays, it looks like a team where he could almost average double figure in assists, man. I mean, they have those kind of players around him. I think they have a high ceiling. Yeah. I think that they can play with some of these teams, some of the better teams in the area. It's just to see how they all put it together. But I love Keen's game, and I was impressed with him last night.
Yeah, so he's a 4-year guy. He played a lot as a freshman, and then obviously the last 2 years, sophomore, junior year. Jeremiah, it's his team now. He doesn't have Julius Brown and Julian Malone in that backcourt, and I think that's going to be a big adjustment for him. But he's ready. He's ready for this moment. He's got Division I offers. So good family, comes from good stock. I think he's going to be just fine. But like you said, I think he has to grow into becoming a facilitator also and getting those guys involved, because Westfield North has weapons, and they're going to need the ball, and those guys are going to need shots in order to play to their potential. And
it's going to make his job easier once everybody else is supporting him, because he's super quick with the ball. Yeah. Maybe the fastest player from in-line to in-line with the ball in his hands.
And he can change direction.
Absolutely.
Like crazy.
So he has talent. I like to see them put that together and for Westfield North to have a good year. But let's talk about the team that won. That was Olentangy. They were led by, the guy, Sean Marks, 23 points last night. Again, we talked about it earlier. Didn't shoot great from long range, but he just controlled the game. He got some other good performances from number 25, Tavion James. I like him. Yeah. Good player, aware. You know what I mean? They don't have a lot of great size, but he was able to go down in the post, get some baskets, made some plays on the perimeter. So I really love what he did. And then they had a shooter that was on fire in the first half. I want to shout him out too, Noah Gossett.
Yep.
He was on fire. I believe he had 3 or 4 threes in the first half.
Olentangy has some shooters between Marks and Gossett, and then even the senior Alex Seavey.
Yes.
He can also light it up too. So that's kind of always been just their style the last 5 or 6 years. And with Marks in the middle, controlling the action and getting guys
Marks
open
in the middle. Hey.
Marks in the middle. Hey,
change that handle, Marks. Hey, I like it. Go ahead.
I didn't even try to do that, but Sean can get to the basket now. So you can't. They're going to be tough to defend, because he's going to be able to beat guys off the dribble and finish at the rim, and then it's hard to defend those guys because they're just surrounding him with shooters. So.
Absolutely, and he was very physical with the ball. And again, like you said, just watching him last night, it looked different. He didn't fear going in the lane. It wasn't.
Here's a stat that Marks had as a sophomore. He shot 47% from the field, 44% from 3, and 91% from the line. He had a near 50, 40, 90 season. That is. You don't see many guys do that in the NBA.
Right, and this is in high school, so definitely.
And the thing is, what impresses me about Sean is he did that, but still to this day he's putting up about 900, 1,000, 1,500 shots a day at Just Hoops. So if you want to become an elite shooter like Sean, you have to put the work in. It's not by accident. Like, this kid has
kind of unorthodox.
Worked hard.
He puts it over here a little
bit.
But
it's so quick that it's tough to stop.
It is, man. Shout out to Tony Harris who's watching. And the 4841 is in the building. What's up, Juwanza? Juwanza Moore definitely watching this as well. So I was definitely impressed with both teams last night.
I have a quick question. Darren Gamble, I know Darren for a while. He said, I'm not a basketball guy, but Franklin Heights hasn't won a basketball game as an opener in a while. I know it's international, but what do you guys think with all their young guys producing? So Franklin Heights, they got some stud, freshmen and sophomores. Artrell Saunders, it starts with him. He's the freshman, 6 foot. He had 13 points against International on Thursday. And then they have a sophomore, Tommy McGeehan, who had 12 points in that game, or maybe 12 or 14. But Franklin Heights, they have some young talent. They're a West Side program that's really struggled in the last couple of years. And if those guys can continue to produce, I think they have a chance to get better here in the next couple of years.
You know what? Programs like Franklin Heights, man, I just feel like they need love, man. They need somebody to come in there. Maybe it's not one person. Maybe it's a group of people. Maybe it's just a athletic department.
Or just someone to come in who raises the confidence. And there's a kid on the West Side, Southwestern City School team. We're going to get to them a little later. That's done just that. So
absolutely, man. So those are the first 2 games of the Pick Six. Now let's get into some games that we're going to be seeing today that is going to have everybody's attention. Again, a huge day-to-day when it comes to high school basketball here in Central Ohio. The 2018 All-Ohio High School Hoop Showcase. A lot of great teams. We'll run down all the teams that are going to be playing in it. But I want to get to the third game of our Pick Six, and that's Afrocentric versus number 4 in your power rankings, Grandview Heights.
Afrocentric's number 6. So
yes, number 6. Yep.
This is a Division III battle. It could be. You could see this later on in the district tournament. Afrocentric, Coach Bates has been scouting this. Grandview returns a lot of talent. They, really ran over Patriot Prep on Thursday. So, going to be excited to see, that matchup. We'll be covering that. Pickerington North, Darkel Curry and Nathan Perky will be out there covering all the action. So, Afrocentric's going to be tough. They, lose. We spoke on it a little bit in the last show. They lost the top 3 scorers. We'll see what Callie Davis can do and what those young guys can do on that team. But Grandview Heights, they have 2 juniors. If you've not seen Grandview Heights, I suggest you go out and check them out. It starts in the backcourt, really. Brian Collier has been a kid since his freshman year, has been lighting it up. And then Luke Lachey, is Jim Lachey's son.
The legend, Jim Lachey.
6'6". He's going to play high major football, but he's no slouch on the basketball hardwood. He's one of the very best power forward, wing forward players in the area.
It's no surprise. It's not surprising at all how those genes transfer.
No, yeah. Your dad played in the NFL. There's a good chance you're going to be, pretty good. So
absolutely.
That's going to be a matchup. I'm excited to see how that one turns out.
Let's move on to our fourth game. I'm interested in this one, man. The old legends from the city, Northland, not necessarily coming in with this kind of team that they've had in the past.
Right.
The big time recruits, the high flyers. We talked about JD, who was checking in and watching us. The point guards they've had in the past, Seth Towns, right. Trey Burke, Sully, to name them all. What are we expecting as they take on a team that made a tremendous run last year? They have one of the top players and point guards in the area in C.J. Anthony. What are you expecting in this Harvest Prep Northland game?
Well, it's going to start in the backcourt. Obviously, Northland's best player is N'Keely Elmore, the senior. Tough kid. He's waited his turn. It's finally his team, and I think he's ready to lead the charge. Northland started off kind of rough. They lost to Eastmoor last weekend in the City League preview. So it's going to be interesting because Harvest Prep, they're going to defend you, they're going to put pressure on you, and they're going to want to play 100 miles an hour and put up a lot of threes. So if Northland's going to struggle to make shots, I think it's going to be a long day for them. Harvest Prep, they just have so many weapons. C.J. Anthony, with him in the backcourt, he's the man, but you have guys like Brandon Beavers and Sol Hines and Elijah Glenn, and Andrew Tate is a senior that I think could have a chance to be a breakout guy this year.
Sol Hines, I was really impressed with him. You know what I mean?
Shot maker, just
definitely
6'4", good size on the wing, and can stroke shots and knock them down. So when you have point guards like Beavers and C.J. Anthony that can get to the lane and know how to pass, it makes a guy like him, it makes his job real easy. So is there a particular matchup in this game you're looking forward to? I think in the backcourt, Elmore, it'll probably be Elmore versus Anthony. If not, it'll be Beavers. If Keeley can have a good game and hit some shots and get his guys going, I think Northland will have a shot because they're never going to give up. Those guys are always going to play tough and fight hard. Legacy to live up to. A player, though, Mikhail Massey. If Mikhail Massey can have the type of breakout game that I know he's capable of, you can see Northland upsetting him here. He's going to have to he's going to go up against some length. Harvest Prep, they're big compared to what Northland has. So if Mikhail can have the type of game that he's capable of, Northland will be able to compete, but I think this is Harvest Prep's game to lose. Also checking in, Reginald Sincere Jarrett gave a shout-out to Delaware Hayes High School. Yes. We like Delaware, man, and we got something special for you coming for Delaware later on in the season. We got some planned for you guys out there. And also they comment, Letty Lyles, they want them to check in on the show as well. Again, however you're watching, let us know how you're watching. But Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. What device, please? Yes. We're there. Make sure you go subscribe to all the pages. 270 Hoops, the Central Ohio High School Showcase. Make sure you liking all those because you'll be able to find that content. All right. The fifth game I want to get to in the Pick Six. Going Division I here. Upper Arlington taking on Huber Heights Wayne. You said it's a little bit of a backstory. There's some tension. Yeah, a little bit of tension here in this matchup here. There is some tension in this one. So Upper Arlington was supposed to play Huber Heights Wayne last year at Flying to the Hoop. It was supposed to be the last game of the event. They had a great team last year. Dane Goodwin, Max Smart, Will Grabovac. Will Grabovac, absolutely. So yes, it was very snowy that day. That game wasn't supposed to tip till 8:30 p.m. So Upper Arlington, they called it off. I think it might have been Sunday night, but they called it off, because of unsafe road conditions. They weren't going to start driving back to Columbus till around midnight, and the snow was not going to let up. That was the last game of Flying to the Hoop. That's the 8:30 matchup on Monday that everybody looks forward to. And Wayne, the people in the Dayton area, Wayne, they were pretty ticked off that Upper Arlington didn't come down. They were saying that, UA was scared that they called it off. They didn't want to play that game. And UA offered, they said, okay, come play us at Capitol. We'll play at Capitol. You can keep the gate. And Wayne didn't want to do it. So this is going to be a game today that these two teams, obviously with what's happened the last year, they don't like each other, and the coaches probably have a little bit of tension there too. So it's going to be interesting. UA, it's a different team. Obviously Dane Goodwin's not back, and Wayne's always just going to be physical, athletic, and tough. So that'll be a big test for Upper Arlington, to start off the season.
All right, so like I want to get over here on YouTube, man. We got so many comments on YouTube, and I want to thank you guys so much. Tyler Augustin, he comments, "What game you going to today, Zach? Harvest Prep or Northland?" Grant Gilliard comments, "Autoplay whole game last night, dominated on both ends."
Hey, Grant. So for guys in Pickaway County and just that area, Grant does a great job getting those guys out. He coached a team in my fall league called the Academy, and he had guys from Logan Elm and Circleville and just schools in that area, and he does a lot for those kids. So I love what Grant does. He's always been someone that is keeping me updated with what's going on in southern and south,
Owens
southeastern area of Central Ohio. So
definitely shout out definitely to Grant. There's so many comments, man. Owen and Sam, they're chiming in. Noah Lawrence hit a deep three last night at the end of the game. Noah should have got that shot for the possession prior when you guys were down 3 because, I mean, he was the best shooter on the floor last night. No question about that. Jason Flegel, good stuff here, guys. Great vision. Checking you out in Phoenix.
Wow.
Phoenix checking in, okay, to the Central Ohio Hoops Report, man. This is awesome.
Worldwide, baby.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hey, we appreciate the weather. We can get a little bit of that. Grant, he checks in again with some more just statistics and things that happened last night. Let me see. Jason, he checks in again. Calio have legit compliant with all the fouls, in your opinion?
What was the question?
Calio have legit complaint with all the fouls. Kalo, I'm sorry.
I mean, Ed's always going to ride officials. That's what he's done his whole career. Some of them were questionable. There was one where Ryan Greggs literally got run over. The kid who got called, Ryan got called for the block, but the kid who had the ball lost it midway up. Ryan was there, so that was the one that ticked Ed off. And but the refs, they evened it out in the second half. By the time the fourth quarter rolled around, the teams were about even in fouls. But it was definitely a tough start for our Westfield South to begin that game.
Richard Boone, shout out to Coach Simmons of Beechcroft. Great team last couple years, man. Definitely.
Last year was one of my favorite teams I ever covered. Those guys, truly a brotherhood, and I'm gonna miss watching them play. But fortunately, all those guys are playing college basketball or some type of post-grad basketball right now.
Absolutely.
And Day-Trey Long, who was on that team, who I think went under the radar a little bit, he's playing at Urbana right now and lighting it up. Coach Dials at Urbana thinks that he could be a pro. So shout out to Coach Simmons. He cares greatly about those kids. And I think Beechcroft, they're young and they got some unproven pieces, but they're going to be just fine in the next couple of years. Let's get on to this last game. Yeah,
last game, man. Game number 6 of the Pick 6. I think this is the one that we all are looking forward to. And look, keep commenting. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Please keep the comments coming in. We appreciate all of those. Thank you very much for rocking with us today. And moving forward, we'll be here Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., giving you this, for these young people out here on the basketball court. Game number 6 of the Pick 6, the one I think we're all looking forward to. Morgan Safford, bringing his Hartley Hawks, okay? Ramon Spears, Trey Watkins, Marcus Johnson coming from South High with the Bulldogs. They're going to meet up here at Gahanna Lincoln later on at 5 p.m. Your thoughts, man?
1 and 2 in Division II. These are the teams in our 270 Hoops preview magazine. We had a staff roundtable, and there's 2 district titles to win, and everybody picked South and Hartley. I don't think anyone else picked anybody else other than those 2 teams. Hartley was our pick to win the CCL. South was our pick to win the City League South, and then Walnut Ridge got Kavion Ross. And the reason I was probably going to go South, I think those 2 teams will split, and I'll be real quick about this, but City League, there's a rule.
Yes, it is.
If there's a tie, the team who last went to the City League Championship makes it. So if there is a split and Walnut Ridge and South take care of business, I think Walnut Ridge will, because of that rule, be able to, go on and go to the City League Championship. But in this game today, contrasting styles. So South, as we talked about, on Wednesday, they're guard-oriented. They don't have as much size, but they're going to defend the hell out of you, and they're going to be able to make shots. Hartley's a little bigger. So Safford is their primary ball handler. He's about 6'4", 6'5", and then they have some absolute tanks in the front court. You have 2 Division I football commits between Peyton Collins and Jordan Kirkbride. They both tight end, left tackle on the football team. Yeah. So you have
tight end is definitely tall for sure.
Yes. So Kirkbride is about 6'6", 220 solid, and then Peyton Collins is about 6'8", 230, 240. South, if they want to get to the basket, they're going to have to go through those two guys. And then Morgan, obviously, as well. He can defend on the perimeter with physicality, and he's also going to, get to the basket. I think the matchup in that game for me that I'm really excited about is Marcus Johnson against Morgan Safford.
Yes.
I see those two guys matching up. And then Trey Watkins, he's going to have to make shots there and, play at the level that I know he can. So really excited. I'm going to be there. I'll be at Gahanna. This is the game I'm looking forward to the most, and I think it's going to tell a lot about who's going to be the team to beat in Division II.
I will be there as well. I think the matchup between Morgan and Marcus is the one to watch. I want to see if Marcus will match Morgan's intensity.
Yes, that'll be key.
Morgan is he knows he's the guy to lead Hartley. Marcus, because I think he may be surrounded by a couple more players, and Marcus is not the primary ball handler.
Right.
But I think that Marcus needs to get on the glass.
Yes,
I think
he will.
Yeah, I think
will.
Yeah, listen, South versus Northland City Championship a couple years ago, I thought that Marcus was going to be big in that game.
He was. He was the key in the second half.
Yes.
As a freshman to do that.
Yes.
He's going to have to step into a bigger leadership role. South had a deep senior class last year, so he didn't have to do that. This year, it's different. And I think a guy who could break out in this matchup today is Taquan Symington.
Yes.
Call him Bink.
Calling Bank, that's right.
Hey, he is motivated. He wants to make a statement this year, and I think he can do just that. And this game today will be a great opportunity to do that.
So that was the sixth game of our Pick Six. It's going to be an awesome matchup.